Thank you for tuning in to another episode of TheNexGen Live. I'm Rory Sauter. Joining me is Demensio Barton, Matthew J., and of course, Greg Merk. Gentlemen, how was everybody's weekend?
Had a very good time, man. It was a very productive weekend. A lot of good stuff.
Matthew?
Oh, very relaxing this weekend. Very relaxing.
What about you, Greg?
Well, the weekend was but obviously today was not a great day for this country. Once again, we're going to have to deal with the healing of the tragedy in Nashville, Tennessee. Another sad commentary on society and our degradation, our moral degradation, and these tragedies just seem to be unending.
And I want to take a moment of silence for all the victims and their families today. Amen. God bless. And it's horrible. It's so tragic. I mean, I get emotional about it. It makes me, these are little kids. They're just going to school, and it was some tranny who, did this, who carried out this attack, who, decided to, commit this act of evil and really just go off the deep end. I mean, this is the worst thing anybody could ever do.
You actually saw something that said it was a tranny?
It is.
Yeah, it's all over. It's all over the place. It's all over the place.
When I heard that it was a woman, it was really troubling. Because if mass shooting, the women are starting to do these things. But then when I found out it was a transgender, it may even be worse. And, sadly, we continue to address all the symptoms. We never really get to the root cause of why these things are happening. And I really do believe it is a spiritual decay in this country. We have completely stripped God out of our society. So is it any reason when you tell people they are their own moral authority or their morality is self-reflected, is it any surprise when they just act out with what they feel, the gods of their belly? But we will continue to address the nonsensical side issues like getting rid of assault weapons. And we certainly won't even touch the idea that perhaps some transgender mental illness, associating with these people transition. Of course, the mere fact that I would even say that would reap a firestorm of attacks from the left. But it's something that seriously is a serious question that really needs addressing.
This was an angry tranny that was mad at the Christian church, that was mad at the Christian values, the fundamentals. This person is probably mad at their own lives, probably hates their family, probably has no friends, probably is lost in this psychological fog of just oblivion. I mean, you probably can't even fathom. A normal human being can't even fathom. I mean, it just, yuck. This is the kind of people they're trying to normalize. You've got transgender, a term now called transgender genocide. They're trying to make these people out to be victims, but they make up such a small percentage of the population. And I don't see anybody going out of their way to attack transgenders. The left tries to put these people in a box, use the victim mentality, just like they do with minorities. Because as I've said many times on my show, the more they can expand their base of trying to convince people that they're special and there's something wrong with them and that they belong in that box, the more powerful their base becomes. This is how they expand.
Yeah, well, as far as it goes,
this is their voter base. And I guarantee you, mainstream media is not going to talk about this for very long because it does not fit the narrative. It's just like if it's a black person that is the attacker, it's not going to stay on the news long. The fact that it's a transgender, it will not stay on the news long.
Really, as a matter of fact, guys, when you look at this here, what's going on right now, 1 second. When you look at this thing that's going on right now, okay, you had a church, you had their school get hit. It actually was targeted. So they thought the person was a teen. Then they found out the person is 28 years old. And now they released the information a little later in the day saying that, okay, it's a transgender. Okay. It is interesting to me that this is coinciding with actual good news. concerning these, like Tennessee within the last few days, the whole passing of their bill to stop the transgender transformation of kids, making that illegal in their state. At least that went through their Congress. It also coincides with today, which was interesting to me. And what I was trying to find out even before we got on the show was what was the timing between the attack and when our governor here in Florida signed the bill for House Bill 1. It's like, it seems like, I don't think that anything just happens. I think there's rational reasons, even though some people may be irrational. There was a rational result. There was a cause and a reaction, rather, that has happened to cause this here type of stuff. Like when you see what just happened at this school, someone just comes on campus, a Christian school, a private Christian school. It isn't like they had access. They should have even had access, but they got in there through that side door. You know, you just look and it's like, at this time, there are forces that are mad because we are starting to wake up and protect our families and our children.
You know what? Go ahead.
They're mad because we are protecting our. See, the thing about it is, when you see most of these things that are being passed, like even in Florida, it's saying your family has the right to determine what happens with your children and whether or not your children are indoctrinated with this, that, and the other. I was just watching a report earlier on the news that was saying that one of the arguments they had is like, oh, they're going to turn these children into some sort of a monster. The parents are going to turn their own children into some sort of a monster because they are not allowing them to feed this woke ideology and this LGBTQ and all of this here wrong history to them. So they're considering that as turning people into monsters. And it is insane. But if you have a group that believes that dogma, you're going to have people that are going to act out on it. My question, though, is when they act out on it, like just now, are you going to have the same J6 type of retribution concerning it?
Well, what drives me nuts about this is that originally, when the story came out, they called the attacker a woman. That's what they referred to the attacker as. Like, what the fuck? No, it's a tranny. It's not a fucking woman. So, like, that really, the mainstream media tried to pull that at first. And here's another thing that drives me nuts. Biden came out right away. I wish my friends in Congress would pass the weapons bill on assault weapons. I wish we could get this done. But politicizing a tragedy right away. This is what the Democrats do. No sympathy, no compassion, no love or emotion for the families affected. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, fuck this. And the other thing I wanted to mention, what is the end game here? I mean, I would say put armed guards in every school, and this fucking shit will never happen again. But I mean, you have an armed guard at every door. You think anybody's gonna pull this shit? Because we've seen what usually these shooters look like. They're not big bad gangsters. They're little fucking pipsqueaks, and they have a fucking weapon. If you have somebody who's 250, 300-pound, big fucking guard armed, nobody's gonna fuck with those schools.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Rory. But you know what? These people will
get ex-military personnel, get fucking ex-Navy SEALs, get fucking ex-police officers, get the real fucking deal in these schools, and these kids will be safe. And I can't even fucking believe that we have fucking people in society that are saying, take the guns away. We need to take the guns away. No. We need more people with guns. We need more guns. We need more. And you know what? Most of these scenarios, believe it or not, these guns are bought legally, these shootings, in a lot of ways. In most scenarios, they are. They are. The only real time, majority of the time, the guns are illegal is if it's like gang activity. But these kind of school shootings, most of the time, they're bought legally, these guns. There's no way to avoid these people committing acts of evil. And this is what the left doesn't understand. If somebody has a plan to carry out evil and they're allowed to go buy a gun just like any law-abiding citizen, it sucks. It's the worst. It's horrible. It's awful. It's every word you can imagine in a negative light. But oh my God, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is, as a side note, of course, the egregious hypocrisy of the left, anytime there's the mere suggestion, and we saw this with San Francisco with the attack on Pelosi, the suggestion that maybe he's a conservative has to do with MAGA. It is first thing, leading headline
and they're
news.
already scrubbing the social media of the person. I don't know if you guys know any of this.
Right.
Matthew, you can admit, you know what I'm talking. Chime in real quick, because that's a big fucking thing, because that is going to really hide a lot of the narrative, and it's going to keep a lot of secrets from us. Go ahead.
They were removing it quickly. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But the point is the fact that this is a transgender, they will never discuss a potential mental illness that has to deal with this. It's a serious discussion, like I said.
How is transgender not a mental illness, though?
Well, yeah, exactly.
How is it not a diagnosis? How the fuck is it not a diagnosis?
But listen,
it's the craziest psychological imbalance I've ever heard. Go ahead.
But watch what the left will do. The good for evil swap. They will actually, within time, they will start to talk about how the religious, the DeSantis's, the states of Tennessee, how they have so incited the anger, just like they did the Black Lives Matter and Antifa movement, that they were pushed. And this will be the narrative, not anything to do with the idea or the notion that people are that have transgendered or they believe that they have some kind of mental illness. No, they'll never discuss that. Even though if it's a mega voter, yes, they've got this violent personality, but they'll never discuss a potential mental illness with these people. And as a matter of fact, they will blame the religious and the conservative social right for kind of instigating this thing in a very subtle way. Mark my words, they will make it to look like, as long as we keep stopping the reading of books and this and fighting, then we're going to create these people. They're going to make them look like the victims and not the people that were tragically killed, because that is the MO of the good for evil swap radical left progressives.
Well, hey, even the Bible had warned us, don't call good evil or evil good. And we are definitely in the generation where that is prolific. It's insane how prolific it is. But think about it. We got this whole belly full of, definitely in the 90s and the 2000s, of truth is relative or transitive to the time. And it's like when you look and you even see this, Rory, what you were saying concerning transgenders in the 70s, if you look and read psychological analysis of transgenderism, LGBT, and all this stuff, if you look at it from before the 80s, say the 70s on back,
I know the drag.
Is what was said back then. Those were the types of diagnoses of people that were caught up in that. There was something wrong with them. They needed to be helped. You needed to get them to come back to what is real and reality. But in the 80s, and I'll just say this is just kind of what I learned from research. And in the 80s, starting in the beginning of the 80s, when a lot of that porn money started going into the universities for the universities to feed reports to the porn industry so that their lawyers could in turn feed them to the judiciaries of the different states to prove the innocence of pornography and of, really, I'll just say this word, whoredom. It's like as it started to happen, all these other things started to have their own proofs that they were okay. It's something that money bought.
Well, I'm surprised, Demensio, that the whole drag queen thing has been normalized as long as it has. People have been going to drag shows since what, the 50s? Yeah, how is that not a mental illness in itself? Men dressing up as women, twerking and dancing with their fucking, half their clothes off on the stage. How is that not a mental? And grown men claiming to be straight go for amusement. What the fuck?
Hey, for me, I must admit, I was very happy last week when the state of Florida, when we had that issue right here in Orange County where I am, with someone trying to hold a show in Orange County, Florida at Boone High School, a drag show.
I'm not even talking about with kids.
Got slapped down. Huh?
Demensio, I'm not even talking about with kids. I'm talking about grown-ass men and grown-ass adults that have been going to these shows for as long as I can remember. It goes way back to, it's been a tourist thing for a long time. I just think it's sick in itself, the people that watch it. I think they're deranged. I think they're very, something's wrong with them. Obviously, they're not.
Actually,
they're not
what we're figuring,
and then
what I'm looking at is,
and then the people that do it, the people that perform, how is that not a mental illness in itself? A guy that wants to dress up as a female and shake his ass, halfway naked. Some of them are naked on the stage. How is that not an illness? I just don't understand. I'll never understand it.
I'll say this, and you guys can chime in, because this is one to just kind of open up a little thought. But seriously speaking, when I'm looking at this here, I'm seeing when we were warned about democracy. I know we have a republic, but it's been touted as a democracy for so long that right now that's the mindset. But the concept is simple. If you have freedom, unlimited freedom, without personal restraint, you cannot help but end up with what we're ending up with.
Demensio, you're echoing the things I've said on the show multiple times.
Yeah,
the three facets, the social trinity, I call it in the United States, the indispensable supports. Freedom requires a restraint, a righteous restraint. That righteous restraint is virtue. Virtue emanates from our faith, our Christian faith, our faith in God, the Creator, the moral lawgiver, the truth author. We cannot write truth ourselves. We can only discover truth. Only God authors truth. And to live in freedom and to live and practice our faith, we need freedom. That's why these are the three indispensable supports of America. Freedom requires virtue. Virtue requires faith. Living your faith requires living in a free country. And yet we have obliterated all three indispensable supports. Our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the principles of our freedom are under attack every day. There is no virtue in America when just thinking about this whole transgender thing. And certainly the values, the Christian church, the church itself has been under attack for decades, and the entire system, the social trinity, is under attack and faltering. So it's no wonder you have this, and we have obliterated truth. There's no such thing as absolute truth. It's your truth. It's my truth. It's Kamala Harris's truth. No, truth can only be discovered. But when truth is replaced with imagination, when reality is supplanted by fantasy, you have the social chaos that we're seeing right today. So until we take the country back spiritually, we are never going to solve these problems. We're just going to run around attacking the symptoms, and the problem will just migrate somewhere else. We can put armed guards in every single school, and they'll go to the playgrounds. They'll go to the movie theaters. They will go somewhere else and commit these atrocities. We have a fundamentally disintegrating society, and when you take God out of society, it's no wonder that these machinations manifest themselves.
I just don't think. I personally do not think that even the people that say, that they're for all this inclusive equality, equity. I know there's so many different terms. I don't think all those people who say this and, they say they're all for this transgender stuff. I know, I don't think they really are. Deep down, they know, most of them know it's weird. They just, in a way, the left likes to be rebellious. They like to say, oh, conservatives, we're going to get you. We're going to get you. We're really going to get you. We're going to teach you a lesson on this one. Yeah. But they know, most of them know that this is sick, this is wrong, and that, it's just like it's never going to be properly respected in this culture. I just don't think it can assimilate at all. I just don't know where it fits. Where is the? I mean, there's such a small majority. And we're having all these conventions. We're having all these different events for them. These transgenders saying there's a big war, there's a big genocide. Where is it? This all this make believe bullshit. Where? Because I don't see it. I see them attention seeking. I see them trying to get approval. I see them trying to go places where they don't belong and try to rewrite history, like the churches and other places. And you know what? These are entitled pricks. They remind me of little children who pout in the toy store when the parents say no. I mean, it's fucking pathetic. But go ahead.
Rory,
I think it should be criminalized. I think transgender should be criminalized. If you're a transgender, you are not a person. You are not a human. You are an evil, demonic, satanic creature, and you should be put in prison. And I'm going to criminalize them. You will never be able to properly assimilate into Western civilization. There is no place for you here. There is no place. And I think it should be criminalized. I think it should absolutely, they should lay the smack down. Handcuff these people. Really. And then you instill this kind of fear in them, they will change their ways. The reason the reason they are like this is because society and these politicians, in a lot of ways, allowed it, and their parents enabled it, and these fucking movies and these books and all this other shit and all this social media and all this fucking whatever gay, feminine. I mean, all this shit keeps fucking. Where the beta males, the soy boys are all coming out. I mean, where are the alphas at? Where are the guys like us at? Where are they?
Yeah, Rory, they're out there, but this fits right in.
What?
This fits right in to the Marxist revolution, the modern day American revolution, which is a Marxist revolution. This is exactly what they want. From George Soros funded DAs all around the country, these radical leftists in these progressive cities and states around the country, it fits right in. But
what I'm saying is the people that are advocating for these transgenders would never invite them into their home for dinner. That's what I'm saying.
Be that as it may, a lot of these things.
Oh, let them come across. Then invite them into your home. Invite them into your home. Oh, of course not. Of course not.
Well, yeah, but that's irrelevant, even the way they put themselves personally. But the fact is,
I'm not talking about just the politicians. Even the voters are hypocrites. They would never allow a transgender. A lot of them would never allow a transgender, in their home. A lot of them would never allow illegals into their home. I'm just making a point here.
Right. Yeah, and that may be. But
there's numerous reasons why they do this. One of the reasons is to rebel against the conservative movement. Another reason is to try to, say that they're for everyone and say that there's no hate in their heart and that they're perfect and that, they have no flaws. I can go into a lot of variables, but go ahead.
Rory, you believe in God, you believe in the adversary, the devil, Satan, whoever you want to go. This is a good versus an evil. This is a satanic movement. This is what happens when you destroy and eliminate God from your society. Society demands a moral law, and a moral law demands a moral lawgiver. And that moral lawgiver cannot be anybody on the right. It can't be anybody on the left. It has to be somebody who transcends mankind. And those of us who believe in Christ believe that moral lawgiver is the God of the Bible. It's Jehovah. He is, because you cannot have a moral lawgiver be any one of us. Otherwise, the question remains, which one of us? So moral law demands a moral lawgiver. That moral lawgiver must transcend us. And we have taken the moral lawgiver, the God of our, completely out of our society. And that's why we have these kind of things happen. Right and truth has been replaced by fantasy and imagination. And so we have this chaos that continues to get worse and worse. And every parent seems to be not getting the message and raising their children in homes that are self-centered, homes where the child is the center of the universe. This is wrong. It's been wrong for 50 years. And we're now reaping what we sow.
One of the things that I was going to say concerning that is...
No, I want to say one thing before Demensio says something. I want to say one thing touch on what Greg said. And I want to hear the panel, see if you guys agree with me or not. The more transgenders that are created, I feel like the more shootings we're going to have, because these people are psychologically not okay. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the more we reject a moral lawgiver, the more we say there is no God, that we are our own gods, the more shootings we're going to have. Listen, this is
I would say simply like this here. There's a real simple scripture about this, and it just says that the law was made for those who are lawless, those people who are prone to do wrong. You actually made the laws to constrain them. And what happens is the more, and it's another principle that says that when penalty for doing wrong is real far off, men tend to do worse and worse. And what has happened in our society, we have people in office who will literally take somebody who's committed a crime, a heinous act, whether it's thievery, hurting somebody, whatever. They'll glorify some of them, and then others, they'll pay for them not to even have to pay a price. And they'll honor them. Well, if you're going to get honored for doing wrong and you're going to be glorified and considered a martyr for standing up for yourself or whatever, you're going to end up with more and more people who are going to do wrong. It doesn't, and seriously,
what is wrong?
Talking about across the board, regardless of transgender or whatever, across the board, the more open we leave ourselves to it. That's one of the problems, I believe, with taking the 10 Commandments out of school. You did not, that restraint was put there for people who do not know the Lord. When we took that out, our governance took that out. It took out that seed of right and wrong, of self-restraint. And because it was taken out, it doesn't, there is no such thing in life, real life with human beings, as a vacuum. When you take a thought out, another thought will come in. And what we have right now is, when we took out the doctrine of Christ, that doctrine of the Bible, where it was those restraints, those 10 restraints, when we took it out, we've been catapulted into everything that it was restraining in our society.
Demensio,
I can say a lot of stuff, but it's like, watch this. If there is no God, why shouldn't I kill somebody?
Well, that's exactly what I said. Demensio, you like say the same thing that I say in a different way, a longer way. But suffice to say, it's not the 10 Commandments that they sought to eradicate. Go ahead. Whatever, Demensio. It's not the 10 Commandments, because you know what? The left, the right could care less. It is the attack on God. Like, you're looking at the surface. You got to go deeper. The 10 Commandments was hardly what caused the moral degradation in this country. The eradication, getting rid of the 10 Commandments and taking off the courthouse, was an attack on God himself. Not that whether or not adultery is good, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not bear false witness. That it was the attack on God. That was just symbolic or symptomatic of their hatred to Jehovah God. So we can talk, you can take the 10 Commandments out and put some other thing in there, and that's okay. But
hey, Greg, the first one is God. The first one is, you'll have no other God but Him. I
don't know.
So it actually covers all of it.
You don't listen to me when I talk. I don't know. I don't care to get into why you don't listen when I talk. But I'm just going to ask you to try to listen when I talk. Forget about the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments came from God through Moses. The attack is on God, not the 10 Commandments. Do you understand that? Not on the 10 Commandments, but on the God who gave the 10 Commandments. And if you're going to stay on the surface and looking at all of the obvious things, you're never going to get to the root of the problem. There is a facade. There is a veil. And behind the veil lies the answer why these people do these things. This is a great anti-God movement, anti-Christ movement, and they have systematically taken God, Jehovah God, the God of the Bible, out of our society. That's why we have these kind of things happening.
We haven't heard from Matthew. I know you want to respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I look at this, the big question we're looking at is, what is the role of the state media in this whole thing? And I'll just look at the state of Pennsylvania. You look on your driver's license now, male, female, or other. Okay, so there's the state kind of pushing the agenda. We look at the State Department. We look at getting your new passport now. Same deal, male, female, other, or whatever. So when you have the state backing this type of insanity, where does it stop? And the media rubber stamping it. I mean, it's prevailing all over society. Now, I want to mention something earlier. You're talking about the whole school shooting in general and what you can possibly do to prevent it. It's, these open doors, or were the shooters getting in an open door?
Yeah, the sliding door. Yeah, he went through a side door. I mean, the tranny went through a side door.
Yeah, and we obviously we have to tighten that up. We saw it, I think, in Florida in that mass shooting a few years back, and I think we've probably seen it in some other major cities. We got to start tightening it up. But I do believe what you're going to find out in this particular shooting is it's not some type of random act. This person obviously had some type of a rapport with the school, or went to the school previously. You looked at the administrators that were killed. Now, more than likely, this shooter knew the administrators. But as far as gunning down 9-year-old kids, I mean, that's just, it is beyond belief. But now I'm looking at breaking news now, and there are many people outside the site now, obviously screaming for gun control laws. That's the thing. It's the evil intent behind the act, whether it be somebody jumping in a vehicle and running people down or whatever. It's the person committing this evil act. And that's what we should be looking at.
Oh, and I agree with Matthew. This is definitely a vengeance thing. I feel like the suspect, the attacker, absolutely knew who the teachers were. But the kids is a whole different story. I mean, That's just
well, which may be, but it still begs the question: what's wrong with these people? Are these transgender people becoming so enraged that they can? But you're not going to talk about.
And we have to ask ourselves: is the medication that they're receiving causing side effects to make them angry, like make them lash out? Like we have to ask ourselves. I don't think enough reporters and journalists are asking those questions.
Well, there's a manifesto. They found a manifesto at this individual's home or in the car. Now they haven't released the contents of that, but one wonders: will the cops or the state or whoever, the attorney general in that state, will they filter or censor what is in that transgender manifesto and why this person was so enraged?
Because think about it: the big trend right now is the child mutilation, is becoming transgender, is all this non-binary bullshit, all this pronouns, these chicks with dicks. This is what's going around. This is what's going around right now.
Rory,
so
Rory,
I absolutely agree with Matthew. Why the fuck wouldn't they redact it? They're not going to show the truth and ruin a narrative that's dominating the media sector right now. The trans thing is a huge movement. They don't want to kill that momentum. They want to keep that alive.
Rory, I saw a couple photos.
Chicks with dicks, baby. It's alive and well, man. Sick stuff.
Wait a minute.
Matthew, go ahead.
I saw some photos of this individual before they scrubbed it as a male. And when I first heard the story breaking that the person had two large weapons and a handgun or whatever, I immediately thought, this is not a female. This is definitely not. It is so rare in the United States to have a female shooter. This individual's running in with a couple large guns and a handgun. I say, I just don't picture. And they were saying it was a teenage female. I mean, it was so they didn't have anything together. And now they're going to have to spin this or spin it out of the news cycle. However you want to look at it.
From my original point in the opening of the show, they are never going to touch the idea that this kind of mental illness could be prevalent and get worse in these people carrying out these murderous, gutless, spineless, satanic attacks on people of faith. And instead, what they will do, mark my words, is they will make the people of faith the enemy because we are inciting this kind of anger and this kind of mental illness in these people. They're gonna swap the good for the evil. Mark my words. They are not going to let us see that this is something that needs to be seriously addressed. This idea of the emotion. Every one of us knows that if a child or a teenager or an adult is struggling with their sexual identity in that they think there's somebody of the opposite gender, there are serious mental issues going on. But no, you can never say that because they were trapped inside the wrong body. But things are serious mental illnesses, but we are not going to get a chance to address it. Like we're never going to hear what
a new report came out. According to police, the Christian school shooter considered 2 locations, but chose the one with the least security. Matthew, you wanted to respond to Greg.
Yeah, well, picture this, Greg, and I don't know the whole circumstance. Picture this individual going into a gun store and purchasing multiple weapons. Now, if I'm the guy behind the counter and I'm looking at this individual, I mean, you don't have to have the greatest instinct in the world to know that you're dealing with somebody that's possibly unbalanced, like what you've been saying. Or did this individual purchase these guns when they were a man? And I'm telling you, if you saw the photos, they look completely different.
Well, I'm sure they do. You know, if you're going through that, there's something very bad going on in your brain, demons in your brain causing you to do these things. But you know what? It's not about the guns, getting the guns, legal guns, illegal guns. It is about a satanic mind that carried out this ugliness against innocent children and adults. And we have a serious problem in America. And we better address the root cause, why these things are really happening. Because I'll tell you, the trajectory that this country is going on, where every little strange, bizarre group is more powerful than the entire country, is not the right path. It will lead us into the abyss. And our best days will indeed be in the rearview mirror if we continue to accommodate and entitle these people.
Actually, you know, when I'm listening to all this here and us talking, I just listened and I was like, I was about to say something. I just listened. I said, you know what? We're talking about all these things, right? When the real issue is not even the people that are causing that are doing all these things, as far as like, it isn't the real issue of what we're dealing with when you're looking at how far America is falling. It isn't them, whoever them is, so much as it's us. I'm just saying, okay, I'm going to hit you with a couple of things because it was in my heart. I am a pastor, so I'm going to talk like one for a
let's not forget before Demensio, because I know Demensio, I know you're going to give a bit. I know you're going to give a big speech right now, but I just want to say one thing.
No, this is a short speech right now.
I want to say one quick thing.
Yeah. I want to say this is a real one.
I want to say one quick thing though.
Yeah.
I do feel like though, before these shootings occur, on numerous occasions, there are warnings to police officers. There are reports. They don't take action. And I mean, I've seen it constantly with these shooters. I mean, over and over, they have a past that was never properly dealt with. A lot of people warn that things could get out of hand. And, we saw that with the Parkland shooter. He had a past where he should have been committed long before this stuff, ever happened. I feel like with this Nashville shooter, we're going to find things from the past eventually that this could have been prevented. This person should have been in an institution. This person should have been helped and given the proper care, but didn't receive it. Go ahead, Demensio.
When you start to look into what's really happened with us, I'm just talking about just from me being a pastor and having to deal with it and having to look through the real data and all this stuff. We keep saying it. Dad's not doing what they're supposed to do. Mom's not doing mom's not doing it. A lot of times they're too busy. Don't mean they're terrible, mean, evil people, but they're just too flipping busy to actually raise the children and pay attention to what's actually going on with the children. They hand them stuff and they trust people that they should not trust. They do not investigate before they send the children into all this stuff. Why did I say this here whole thing? It's just simply because I'm going to show you something that's a real simple principle, and deal with it. We call ourselves men of God. How many of you cuss like a sailor? I had to stop.
You do.
Once, but not now.
Think about it. You mean once in your life, or at one point in your life you did it excessively? At one point in
my life when I was a kid.
Would you say excessively? Were you like a sailor mouth? Like, how would you describe your swearing?
No, because my aunt took care of that pretty quickly. She took care of about 2 weeks. She put soap in your mouth. Wait a minute. What did she do? Patience for a minute. Just patience.
Okay.
Scriptural principle. Filthy communication corrupts good manners.
Right.
Now, regardless of whether or not we like it, regardless of whether or not we love it, regardless of everything, it's true no matter what. So when we as the men of God have mouths that need to be washed out with soap ourselves, but then we tell somebody to follow us as we follow Christ, we have already led them somewhere. I mean, the ones that know Christ, we are leading them somewhere. What I'm saying is, people who follow us don't reach normally the height of dedication of what we represent as we do. It's like making copies of copies of copies of copies. It just keeps on getting watered down. When we talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the United States of America, the people who fought for that, they actually were saying, sacrifice my life, sacrifice my resources, sacrifice. When I look and I see what's going on with a lot of these here things, what happens when it's an officer who someone hired in the school that shoots the kids? We own a business that's actually into.
Wait, Demensio, why would the officer shoot the kids? What are you getting?
No, listen to what I'm saying. Listen, I said, what happens when it's somebody that we've hired and then they end up having to have a watcher? And then they have to have a watcher. This is actually, I'm not saying that we don't.
So let me try to get this straight. So you're thinking basically, if like a police brutality scenario occurs in a school,
whatever it is that they'll use.
Like that's what you're comparing it to. Like maybe a police officer acts reckless.
What if somebody messes up? somebody messes up. Like right
so
now,
like if a student gets too rough and the officer doesn't know how to deal with them and calm him down and then shoots
one
him.
of the things that's been happening in the schools, whether or not you know it, is that as we've gotten more and more
But what
officers,
if we designate these guards only for outsiders that are trespassing, and we deal with the insiders in the schools that attend in a different manner?
Rory,
Let me finish. I'm trying to tell you what happened. I ran for school board. I'm trying to tell you what happened.
You just read the headline that if these attacks, that this woman, this man chose it because it was the one that was it was the soft target. So if you've got these people, my point is, you might have these. You can stage all the armed guards you want. They're going to find a softer target. You will not get rid of these things. And Demensio, I'm surprised you didn't say I agree with what Greg Merk said when I said the fathers aren't in the home and we've destroyed the family unit, because that is the root of the problem. And but the point is these soft targets will always exist. We cannot fortify the entire society. They will, as long as there is this dementia that is running rampant in this country, in a godless society that says there is no God, my morality is self-reflected. These kind of things will happen over and over again, and we will continue to chase the symptoms and try to find solutions to problems without ever getting to the underlying virus that's infecting these people.
Breaking news on this, Rory. Breaking news on the story.
Tell me.
We talked when I initially talked about, as far as not keeping the doors locked. This broke a minute ago. Metro Nashville police say Christian school where trans person carried out mass killing had the doors locked. Suspect shot through the door on the far side of the church and killed custodian. That's how they gained entry. Not an open door. I thought it was an open door.
No, that was how they first reported it, Matthew. That's what I heard.
And this just broke a minute ago on breaking. So, but
you're right.
This sure seems premeditated. I don't think
it's 100%.
I don't think this person just woke up angry and said,
"No." They've
got And here's another thing: the fact that the person's dead, we're never going to get the answers we really want.
He's got a manifesto.
But that's still not Greg.
I know.
It would help a hell of a lot more if they could talk to the.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they're dead. Good enough.
Here's the thing too.
You know what? Rot in fucking prison the rest of your life. Think
Let me tell you, hell, your prison. They'd be dreaming about prison from hell. I got news for you.
True.
Well,
I hear you, and I also I go back and forth on that one because part of me doesn't want the tax dollars paying for it.
Right.
But I also know how boring prison is. So I mean, and it makes people think about their behavior. So there's two parts of me, but. I think you're right, Greg. And but from the economical standpoint, it makes sense just to give them the death penalty. But there's something about thinking about your behavior.
I would rather they get.
But all I was saying, as far as
you would rather what, Demensio?
I would actually rather I don't mind them getting shot. I'm just saying I would have rather they got taken down and we find out if this is bigger than what we think it is.
Do you really need to know that?
Is it? Oh, let me finish with the concept. I'm not going to talk long.
In your mind?
No, what I'm saying is I would. No, you're misunderstanding me.
Transgenders are demented.
You're misunderstanding me, Greg.
They're mentally ill.
Greg, I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is I'd like to find out if this is more orchestrated than just a one person.
So you think that asking
I would rather find out. I would rather have had them.
A murdering sociopath is going to unveil all of these truths to you. A sociopath, because Charles Manson was in prison for decades, right? And we didn't get one single straight. You think you're going to get a straight answer or anything from a whacked out nutcase sociopath that is willing and did kill and murder 9-year-olds? I'm sorry, I disagree. Rot in hell, good for you.
And I will say something that's
you have the right to disagree.
I will say something that's
disturbing. We're not trying to find out answers from sociopaths and are not capable of telling the truth.
Demensio, I know you got to run here in a second. I want to transition topics and have you answer the next topic we're going to real quick before you take off. But I want to say one more thing about this before we close off. I'm seeing a lot of stuff around here, especially where I live, like transgender job fairs. So here's what it comes to. The more society enables this, the more society normalizes this, the more society just accepts this and doesn't diagnose it as a mental illness and doesn't fight back against it, it's just going to continue to grow. You're going to have people that are going to continue to jump on this trend. They think some people think it's cool. Some people
they're making it cool.
Rory, is that really true though? What you just said? I know what you said.
Yeah, in downtown Palm Springs,
you got to be asking.
And at downtown,
what I was saying was, do you really think it's true that society itself is the thing that's pushing this?
Well, I'm just going to say, if you speak out against it, why are you called a bigot? Why are you called all these names? For the longest time, even a Democrat 10 years ago would have thought this was fucking weird. I mean,
but Demensio, it's society in a general term. It's
because Demensio, think about it. Majority of society is scared to speak up about this because they're worried about the backlash. They don't want to get fired.
Right, good. Job. You just hit it. Want to get rid of it. You just hit what I was really
normalizing it. They're going along with it. They're not speaking up about it, which is fucking enabling it and continuing the problem.
So then the people behind the scenes are really the ones that are pushing it with the money, with the influence. But then you have the people on the ground floor who are afraid to lose their jobs, afraid to get canceled, afraid to get blacklisted. Right. They're being willing soldiers of this. Yeah.
Wait a second. Before we start blaming the people that are afraid to speak up, and I get it.
I can't have any respect for those people. I'm sorry. Right, I did for a while. I get that they wanted to protect their identity, but now we're at a time where if you're like, oh man, people come to me and say, I agree with what you're saying, man. I love it, but I just can't talk about it. I'm too worried.
I get it. Those people are a lot. But make no mistake, there are millions of freaks out there who are useful idiots that they think there's nothing wrong with it. That they're like, yeah, hey, whatever floats your boat, and gonna love them. And hey, virtue signaling. Aren't I better than you? I'm not a bigot. I'm not a homophobe. I'm not a transphobe. Whatever they call them. So
yeah, but then they go home, and then behind closed doors, they're using every bigotry word you can think of. They just portray that fake persona in public, saying they're for all these people, but in reality, it's a facade just so they can fit in and they can get further. Because if you're woke in a lot of ways, you're getting further in society.
Rory, do you not realize, Rory, that there are millions of people who, no kidding, really think this is okay, that they support it? I mean, yes, you're right. There are people who are hypocrites behind the scenes. They're throwing all kind of four-letter expletives at these people. There are people who are afraid and have no courage and are cowards and afraid to speak up. But there are millions of people who embrace this and think this is a great thing, that it should be encouraged. I mean, there are millions that really believe that in their soulless hearts.
I'll say this here on this because I'm about to get ready to go.
Yeah, and then before you go, I'm going to get to the next topic and have you go first. But yeah, go ahead on this.
Okay, as far as it goes on this here, everybody, even biblically, you have the right to choose. But to force somebody else, which is really what most of this here, what we've been dealing with in the United States and around the world has been about, it's been people trying to force their belief system. They said it was Christians, but the truth is, if you don't believe in the whole agenda that they have, you're the one who's under attack. You're the one, and for the most part, whenever you looked at me personally, looking at Christians, even when I was a kid, think about it, it's like, that's your life. I respect your right to live your life, but I'm going to live my life. And right now, it's just gotten to the point where, and it really got me back when the whole thing during Obama, when they were legitimizing gay marriage. It wasn't just what they did, but it was what was said by the justice. When that justice spoke, she was very plain that you don't have the time of you saying, well, that's okay for you, but not for me, is over. And that right there, that's a belief system that's being forced on somebody. And she verbalized it. When I heard that, I was like, Houston, we have a problem now, because these people are going to feel justified in forcing what they think and believe on everybody else.
Welcome to 1939, the re-engineering of America. That's what the cultural Marxists set out to do in the late 1930s. You can read about it. I won't bore you with the details, although the details are profound. But this is exactly what's happened. They have forced their beliefs on us. As as a matter of fact, it's like they have completely mischaracterized those of us who are people of faith, we just make these suggestions because they're right. Just like the agnostic Benjamin Franklin, who said, if we had one book to govern the affairs of man, the Bible's all we would need. So we would just make suggestions, but they make it look like we're not forcing our beliefs on anybody. It's like if I tell somebody how to eat, hey, eat correctly. This is what you should do. This is a good diet for you. You'll be healthy. And if you reject it and say, no, matter of fact, I'm going to eat cheeseburgers every day and you better eat it too. Listen, we're making suggestions. This is how a society functions normally and peacefully. And yet we're not forcing Christianity down anybody's throat. We know it works. They, on the other hand, have never been interested in equality. They've never been interested in peaceful coexistence. They've only been interested in forced compliance. And, oh, by the way, forced participation. This is all about the blank. It's never about blank. It's about fundamental change. And that's exactly what this is about, this Marxist movement that's been underway for decades, almost 100 years.
And I think everybody on the panel would agree with me on this. If we forced Jesus and Christianity down the throats of people, I think it would help. I think it would change a lot of habits.
You can't force it. You can't force it. It was tried before, bro.
Built this country on.
But you can't force it on them. You can't force it on them. That was actually tried by.
This is what America is. These are the fundamentals.
We can declare this is our basic tenets of our society, but you can't force somebody to.
Well, so force it in what way, Rory?
Well, the people that originated this country built it upon Christianity. So if the people that put this country together wanted that, why can't we, Demensio?
They
wrote the Constitution.
Well, what do you mean force it, though, Rory?
Basically say, they have to abide by this. I'm at the point where I'm so fed up that I want.
You mean abide by a Constitution?
No, I'm saying this, that we need to have everybody in our society in our country accept Jesus, accept Christ, because nothing good comes from shying away or going against God or going against Jesus or being an atheist. All these people. Look at what's happening around us. Trannies. Pedophiles, all this shit. Demensio, explain why making people abide by Christianity.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Look at Iran. You want a theocracy? I'm just saying, you want a theocracy?
No, I want Christianity.
If you don't comply, you die.
Well, good. And that's a good point, Matt. That's a very good point. Really, when you look though, just look at history. It don't work. If you look at you had the Western and Eastern
We're just
Roman
talking
empires.
here. We're just throwing things around. But go ahead.
You had Eastern and Western Roman empires. When you looked at the one that we know, the actual Roman Empire, when you look at it and you look at how Christianity, what they called Christianity, what they called it, was being mass migrated through the continents. You had governmental alliances and contracts, people who never received Jesus as their Lord and Savior, didn't know him from a fly on the wall. And they literally would say, well, if you agree to join forces with us, we'll acknowledge that your whole society is Christian. And literally they would bring in the whole society as Christian, and none of them ever received Christ. And so you start wondering, why was this Christian nation or empire so bad? No, many of them they never even knew who Jesus was, except for just something that they wore to say they were part of the Roman Empire. It just was what it was. We can't have that type of mentality here in the United States. A papal state is not what we want.
It doesn't. And not only that, it didn't work under Constantine. He subjugated everybody to Christianity. It didn't work. It never works. But listen, we're talking about Christianity. But what did Jesus Christ do?
Let me respond to Demensio before you go, Merk. What if we criminalize transgenderism? What if we criminalize it? What if we? No, because I think it would stop a lot of the problems that we're facing.
Okay, let me say this here. You ever heard of boogery?
No, but think about how this started. Demensio.
Have you ever heard of boogery?
First it started with the gays saying let the gays wanted to get married, and now it's
your question. I'm answering your question though. Have you ever heard of boogery?
No, it sounds familiar.
Boogery in the United States of America, unless they've wiped it off, This is how insane the ruling from the Supreme Court was. Unless they wiped it off of the books, boogery was a crime in the United States since close to the beginning, since the states started making their own constitutions. Boogery is homosexuality.
No,
That's
but here's
that was on the books.
I get that, but here's the thing. I don't think we should criminalize homosexuality. This is my problem.
That's what I'm saying.
But this is my problem. This is my problem. It started with the gays asking to get married, and now we're at mutilating children. I mean,
how? Dealing with the symptoms.
No, this is you give them an inch, they take a fucking mile. And they've been doing this for forever.
Because Greg actually mentioned something about this earlier. Go ahead, Greg. I'm guessing you're going to follow up with what you had already said. But go ahead.
No, I was just saying.
I'm just saying I don't want to criminalize gay people. I want to criminalize the transgender community because
based on what though, Rory?
I can't do that.
Based on what?
I cannot do that, man.
What do you mean based on what? Look at all I don't see gay people creating the problems that transgender people are creating. I mean, gay people are creating problems, but transgender people have taken it to a whole new level.
Okay, so fine, but based on what moral? Why? Because it's immoral, like Christian.
No, because they're putting this on children. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, most transgenders are not out for people's best interest. They are not out for good. They are out for indoctrinating. They're out for brainwashing. They are out to get other people to be like them because they're so fucking insecure and they hate themselves and they want to drag other people into their fucking misery.
I'm about to pull out.
Fucking put them in jail.
I will say this here, then, and Greg, you could go ahead and finish up with it, man. This is how crazy it gets. If you look at Roman history, you had that moment for Constantine, but let me finish with this here. After they had the just war theory going after everybody else, do you know who they went after with the just war theory?
Who?
Real Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Those who actually called Jesus Christ Lord and said they said that there's some devilish stuff going on in that Roman government-led papal state. They wiped out a bunch of us all throughout Northern Africa. These are things that history don't be sharing with you, but Christians were slaughtered. Real Christians were slaughtered with the just war theory that was put enacted, which is really what you were trying to say. It was just a different version of it by Augustine, who I don't really call a saint because that guy did some crazy stuff. But the whole thing about it is he came up with the just war theory. They accepted it for governance, and then eventually it was turned against the very people that was supposed to be being used to promote this gospel. It wasn't Christ's way. So, when I look at this here, God allows people to make up their decisions, but what happens is men try and force other men to make the decisions they want them to make. We can't even do that with our children.
And what you said was key. It was not Christ's way. And what did Christ do? He let himself get nailed to the tree. And I agree with you, Rory. If these things were implemented, these godly, Christian, biblical, we would be a great society. Exactly why the agnostic Benjamin Franklin said what he did. But you know what? Here's a suggestion, because I agree with what you say. But we're not going to change it from the top down. We're going to change it right here. So go out and talk to your neighbors. Spread the gospel. One by one, lead one person to Christ. That's the only way we're going to do it. Washington is not going to change. I say this a million times. If you want to change Washington, you got to change right here in your own home. Spread the gospel. You know what? Maybe you'll change one life. Maybe you'll change 10 lives. And then they change 10 lives. That's the way we have to do it. So while what you say is absolutely true, we need a righteous society because it's part of the indispensable support. But what are we doing? What am I doing to change society? Because I'm not going to change it in Washington by yelling real loud. I'm going to change it one life at a time right here on the ground level.
No, I hear you. I hear you. No, and it just bothers me. Pastor, I know you got to go. But yeah, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get.
All right, Pastor Demensio here in Orange County, Florida. We have a ministry. Web address is www.waoministries.org. Hey, welcome to see you. We'd love to see you. We're located at 10306 John Wycliffe Boulevard, Orlando, Florida.
Welcome to see you. We'd love to see you. We're local.
Hey, I got an echo, man. That's all right. But
that's the Holy Spirit, Pastor.
Hey, will it work? Your lady who?
Yo, are you going to be doing your show again soon?
Yeah, we're getting it. We're getting there, man. It's like everything with this show, because of how we're doing it, we got a live aspect with or more of an on the street aspect that's going to be mixed with behind the scenes and a radio type deal. So from here, what we'll be doing at TheNexGen USA to what we're doing in our area, our local area, it's this whole thing with a few minds coming together about how to put it together. But anyway, I am also here on the TheNexGen Live. God bless you all, and thank you for enjoying. And it's an enjoyable time. And hey, Greg, we had something we agreed on, bro.
Hey,
we had something we agreed on.
Celebrate. Well, if we can't agree on Christ and
we in trouble.
society rooted in Christ, then we have real problems.
Hey, man. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
All right. God bless you. God bless you, Demensio. We'll see you soon.
All right. Now.
All right. Everybody, we're going to take a quick commercial. So take your piss, grab your beer, do what you got to do. Whack your weenus, whatever you got to do.
Takes a little longer in a quick commercial.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi. Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Your dog.
Stop! Gary!
Court order for asset seizures.
So they're taking my car?
You went radio silent on me.
Is that what this is about? Just last night, I thought, I missed that fucker.
Is that true? Buongiorno.
That's my cousin. Gary, I swear to God, he's my cousin. He's my second cousin.
There's something seriously wrong with you.
I'm an Uber driver and I don't have a car. I'm gonna lose my house.
You think I chose this? Look at this.
Need a car, date our son this summer, and bring him out of his shell before college. In exchange, we'll give you a Buick Regal. Date is in quotes. It's gotta be a joke, right?
No, have you seen these helicopter parents? I'm surprised they're not gonna fuck them themselves.
We've just been so worried about our son.
He's going to Princeton in the fall.
Oh, I've heard of it. We tried everything to bring him out of his shell.
He doesn't come out of his room. He doesn't talk to girls. Doesn't drink.
So when you say date him, do you mean date him or date him? Yes.
Date him. Date him hard.
Okay. I'll date his brains out. He volunteers at the animal shelter. Hi. Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Your dog. How about I give you a ride home?
This isn't the way to my house.
It's a shortcut. You're my hostage. What you got down there? Something for me?
Why?
You tried kidnapping me!
You're 19. Grow up.
This kid is unfuckable.
Have a drink together.
He'll have a Long Island iced tea.
This is the worst iced tea I've ever had.
One thing about me, I'm the baddest alive.
Dance parties.
Don't know what to do. I just know my mom would have wanted me to save the house.
He's probably just nervous. Why don't you loosen him up?
We can go skinny dipping.
What about sharks?
Men here.
Jellyfish?
Not this season.
It's really the lack of lifeguards.
Let's get the fuck in here right now.
Okay. I'm just a bit of a romantic.
He's actually really sweet. The best part about getting older is not giving a fuck what people think.
I'm an adult now. I can make my own decisions.
That's good.
You want to savor it. Savor it.
Come on, you're getting out of here. You don't belong here.
Let's touch me.
Get away from her!
Stay.
Oh, fuck!
We should go.
Maddie, you can't outrun the cops!
I can't lose my license.
'84 has been a tough year. Our sales are down, our growth is down.
Sonny, I brought you in here to grow the basketball business.
People don't know what the hell a Nike is.
What's a Converse?
NBA All-Star shoe.
There's nothing cool about Nike.
you would have to have a pretty compelling pitch.
I can tell them the one thing the other companies can't compete with. Our basketball division is terrible.
I do not love it. This is where you come up with a brilliant idea that no one else can see. Let's hear it.
I got it. I found him.
Who's that? Jesus? Can't afford it.
I'm willing to bet my career on one guy. My name's Sonny Vaccaro. I'm with Nike.
Do you typically make it a habit of showing up at people's front doors unannounced?
I don't like to take no for an answer.
Oh, man. Here we go.
You ask me what I do here. This is what I do. I find you players, and I feel it this time. Yeah, okay, it's risky. When you were selling sneakers out of the back of your Plymouth, that was risky. Don't change that now.
For a rookie?
Yes.
Who's never set foot on an NBA court.
That's the literal definition of rookie, yeah.
What's the plan?
We build a shoe line around just him. I need the greatest basketball shoe that's ever been made.
Who's the player?
Michael Jordan.
Your motor is
You have our attention.
you show up at the house.
I believe in your son. I believe he's the future. And his story is gonna make us want to fly. But a shoe is just a shoe.
Until my son steps into it.
Got a name for it?
Air Jordan.
I don't know.
Seriously?
Maybe it'll grow on me.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you okay? I need to get out of a toxic relationship.
Why don't you start by telling us what brought you here?
My boss, he's different.
You can't get him out of your head.
No.
I need your assistance.
I'm coming, Master!
Oh, you feel like he could destroy you with the snap of his fingers.
Wouldn't even need to snap. Okay.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, what?
Renfield. Bring in innocent victims. I want a handful of nuns, a busload of cheerleaders.
And I just want a normal life again. But this modern world is a dangerous place.
Thank you. You saved my life. Did I watch you cut a guy with a decorative serving platter?
It's all in the wrist. Let me explain. My boss gave me this power. In return, I tend to his needs, including care, feeding.
You bring in people to eat? You're like the guy that gets the villain's Postmates.
But if you were to stop focusing on his needs, what would happen?
He won't grow to full power.
Exactly. He won't grow to full power. What? That's so weird. Why would you phrase it like that? But yes. Hi, are you here for the meeting? Well, come on.
No! Some call me the Dark One. Others, the Lord of Death. To most, I am Dracula.
Okay, obviously we're dealing with a little bit more than just narcissism here.
Now, let's eat.
We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. God, I can't wait to see that Nicolas Cage movie, man. That's going to be fucking awesome. Renfield. It's going to be fucking great. Nick is back. Nick Cage is back, baby. One of my favorite actors of all time. God, he's good. God, he's good. So pumped. So pumped. Who else is excited? Anybody else? Anybody else a Nick Cage fan?
He's all right.
That movie he did in Philadelphia, what was it called? National Treasure?
That was a great movie. That was a great
okay.
He stole the Declaration of Independence. Great fucking movie. Great fucking movie. Yeah, that was great. But anyways, guys, all right. I want to get into this whole TikTok thing. I just, I found more and more info out, and now it's starting to make sense. It's not so much that these politicians are worried about the Chinese spying aspect of things and the surveillance and them tracking our data and them getting information on us. It's not really that. It's Silicon Valley competing with TikTok. TikTok is blowing them away in every way possible by a million miles. I mean, they are making Facebook and Instagram and Twitter look like a dog and pony show. I mean, I think it's over 150 million Americans now on TikTok. So it really is. If you want to look at the big picture here, go see in DC how many politicians take money from all these Silicon Valley executives and all these different, social media companies. Zuckerberg gives them a fortune. Zuckerberg's been complaining to them for months about this whole TikTok and how they're taking over. And and Zuckerberg has Facebook and Instagram. So this fucks him in so many ways. Elon has Twitter. But no, I mean, this is a big blow to the American tech industry in many ways. And this is what it comes down to. This is not because think about it. Facebook, Twitter, they've all been stealing our data. They've all been tracking us. They've been doing this shit as long as we can remember. Zuckerberg sold us out years ago to the foreign governments. There's been reports of him, taking billions of dollars in return for our personal information. This is nothing new. And you know what? I fucking like TikTok. I don't feel the need to put any videos on there, but I love scrolling. I can find anything I want in a matter of seconds. It's convenient. You scroll. You don't have to type. I just think that America is behind the times. They should have came out with something like this a long time ago. I know Facebook, I know Instagram came out with their own kind of form of it, their own kind of style of TikTok, but it's not doing remotely what TikTok can do, and it's not as successful. It's hard to reinvent that wheel. I mean, they did
like China didn't steal the technology and the idea. They don't have an original.
And here's how I know. But here's another thing, Greg, and you have to look at this aspect of things. It has more bipartisan support banning it than any bill we've seen in years. It's the first thing Democrats and Republicans. And Greg, why is that? It's because
I don't know. Let me answer.
Greg, let me finish. Because Silicon Valley owns the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Go look up how much they donate to these politicians, and now you'll understand why this bipartisan bill is the most agreed upon bill.
Well, I do know which one's
in years. This is the first thing they've agreed upon in years.
Okay, well, be that as it may,
I'm referring to overwhelmingly. Like, I know they've come together, and have passed stuff in recent months, but overwhelmingly, the bipartisan support for banning this is just crazy.
Yeah, well, but I don't think it can be explained away with.
And the Democratic Party never has our best interest at heart, so they're always out for themselves. So what does that tell you?
You're assuming that U.S. tech is a decision. I do know that Rand Paul does not take a penny of dollars from big tech. Does not. Nor does.
Well, I'm a Josh Hawley fan, and I can't.
Well, here's why.
I'm not a fan of Hawley going through with this. Hawley is one of the big guys trying to advocate for the ban of TikTok, and I think Hawley's wrong.
Well, but first of all, to address your initial claim, that with Facebook and all this, if you've got like 10 murderers walking throughout the country, but you got the opportunity to take one of the murders, you don't just say, well, there's 10 others, so just let the other guy go free. But that's Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey and all the rest of them. Maybe low life stuff.
Okay. Now let me counter what you just said.
No, I didn't.
TikTok has been around for 5 years. TikTok has been around for 5 years in America. Why now? Why now?
Why not 5 fucking years ago? My point is, I know
the damage is done. The damage is done. If there is any damage, it's already
you're
done.
naive,
you can't
man.
fix
You're
the
naive.
damage. It's already done. So
You're naive. So naive.
It's all about money at the end of the day. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Look at all I can speak for is myself and what I have heard from people like Rand Paul and many others. China collects all this data. Oh, by the way, China sticks its thumb in her eye and it doesn't allow Google and restricts multiple things. So why shouldn't we do the same? If you think that this is completely benign and China's got all the info that they ever need, then you are very naive. No, China should not be collecting. I can speak for myself. I don't take any money. I don't give a rat's ass about social media and big tech. But what I do care about is the fact that the Chinese Communist Party owns TikTok and are utilizing all that data. What that data, how that data will manifest itself in the future, I don't know. But we already know it's happening. Any company that's associated with China belongs to the CPE, is beholden to the CCP. So yes, I agree with banning it. And I stand with a lot of people in Washington who are not taking money from big tech and social media. So, what you're saying may be true about Zuckerberg and the other social medias, but you know what? China owns TikTok essentially. And so I say ban it.
Well, China owns Google too in a lot of ways, and they own Facebook and they own all this other shit. Just because these companies
ban Google.
Well, I'm telling you, Merk, just because these companies start in America doesn't mean they're American owned.
Okay, well, you know what?
These foreign fucks buy majority ownership, and then they're the shot callers, or they donate a fuckload of money, and then they can call the shots. I know how the game is played, and you do.
Yeah, Rory, if you got a bunch of murders out there, you don't just ignore them because it's only one murder.
Then let's ban Facebook and let's ban Twitter. I want to ban it all.
Yeah. Well, hey, whatever. All I know is
ban it all. Then
ban it all. Murder.
Rory,
go ahead.
Rory, what did Mark Zuckerberg do a couple of years ago at the height of all the COVID stuff? He brought over a bunch of Chinese engineers to assist him in getting the whole censorship regime here in America.
Nationals.
So, I mean, they have infiltrated everything. So, I mean, does it matter at this point?
What's the point? What's your point?
The point is the CCP has their tentacles everywhere in big tech.
What's your point relative to TikTok?
It doesn't matter. I mean,
no,
banning TikTok. What does it matter if you're inviting Chinese engineers in? What does it matter if you're banning TikTok? Right?
You know what? If an octopus has 8 tentacles, you know what? Maybe they can grab 8 things, but there's a knife that could come in there and rip the octopus's head off. So what? So there's they do got their tentacles. So we just you know what? We're going to give up to the CCP. I say F the CCP, the communist regime, the totalitarian government that kills people for dissenting. So no, get rid of TikTok. Why would you want to ingratiate and enrich the enemy of the United States of America? How about having a little bit of patriotism? How about waving your American flag? I get it. Social media in America is gone to the limits. But how about sticking up for America and saying TikTok is bad for America? Maybe you like to scroll through the little titty girls, okay? I don't use it. I don't even know it's on there. But I know the CCP.
Yeah, you do. You watch the video.
And I say, F China, get rid of TikTok.
Chinese cheerleaders. Greg's watching Chinese cheerleaders.
Yeah, he loves those little Asian cheerleaders. That's Merk's favorite. Rob, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, if you're going to ban TikTok, then you've got to ban Nike and you've got to ban the NBA.
No, that's just a nonsense argument. That's nonsense.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's a nonsense argument.
How would you say that? Nike has got more than half of their. They have more than half of their production comes out of China, and how would you say that's a nonsense argument?
It's a nonsense argument because if you can ban something, you ban it. TikTok is bad. My point is just because there's other bad things doesn't mean you let this one bad go free. Like, it's just asinine to say, well, you got all these other things and everything coming out of China. You know what? That's good. So let's ban them too. After we get rid of TikTok, we can go after the other ones. We can really push Facebook and look at Title 213 and other issues. Here we have a battle. We could fight the battle and win the battle against TikTok and then take on the next battle. That's how wars are won. You don't just sit back and, you know what? Nazi Germany, they got it all. They got troops in France, they got Austria. Let's just let them go. Let them go.
That's not what I said at all.
That's the asinine argument.
Greg's turning into Geraldo Rivera on us, man. God damn.
No, hardly. Geraldo's the douchebag on the left that progressive. I'm saying F China and let's stick our thumb in their eye for once.
You can't ban TikTok. You're going to ruin his life.
Really, how does that? I mean, think about how much money the American people make on TikTok. A lot of people make livings on there. A lot of influencers, especially conservatives. There's a lot of conservatives on there that make a shit ton of money with a big following.
The arguments are getting more and more pathetic and weak.
No, but it's a way to spread a message. It's no different than spreading your message on Twitter or Facebook. It's just a video platform.
Hey, you know what, Rory? Hey, Nike shoes are cheaper because the Uyghurs and the slave labor. Let's let the slave labor go because you know what? Nikes are cheaper. Get rid of the slave labor, and my Nike sneakers will go expensive. So let's keep the slave labor because it makes our sneakers cheaper. That's about the sensibility of the argument. Look, this is a national security issue. No question about it. If you argue that it's not a national security issue, then get your head out of your ass and realize it is. All right.
But nobody on here said that, Greg. Nobody on here said that. Not a single person.
I didn't say they did. I said
if.
I said if. Okay. So
not a single person here said it is not a national security issue.
Get it out. And yeah, that's the suggestion. That it's benign. That everybody else is collecting. It's no big deal. Let it go. After all, you said it. Everything comes out of China anyway. So you made the suggestion. You made the inference.
I didn't say that at all. I said if you do that, then you got to ban Nike. Then you
don't have to ban Nike.
Didn't say don't do that shit. I didn't say
you don't have to. All right, don't have to because Nike's not collecting data on where your shoes go. There's not. Do you think there's a chip in your Air Jordans that's marking your every step, finding out where you go? Oh, I'm going to track where he goes. You just went into the porn shop and bought a Debbie magazine. Yeah, they're not collecting data on where your Air Jordans are going.
That is more important.
It's a flawed argument.
Twitter is more important than data, or Facebook is more important. It's okay if they collect it, but not the Chinese.
I didn't say that. Look, I said
you just did.
This battle.
I know. Well, we're not going to ban Nike because Nike doesn't collect that.
And say, hey, if you want to play that game, then we're going to start imposing some journalist restrictions on you. So or removing the protections that you have. But then look you can't just they make this blanket statement. Look, TikTok is the enemy because CCP owns them, and CCP is the enemy of America. I don't understand what the dilemma is. Why it's so hard for you to not want to ban TikTok.
CCP owns half of SVB
I'm
also.
Not giving China all my data. I don't have to because I don't have it. But you know what? 150 million idiots got it on their phones, and who knows what the CCP is doing with that data. I don't know. I do know this. China is the enemy of America, and I say no to China.
Greg, did you take an extra Adderall today, man? You're amped up, bro. You're on fire, bro. This guy's on fire right now, bro. This guy's on fire.
This is one of my
guys heating up, man. This guy's heating up.
Give him some of that weed, dude. Give him some of that weed.
You need some weed, man. They need to recreationally legalize it in Florida, man. I mean, I'll tell you, it would do Merk a lot of good. You could just go down the street, get a nice little eighth, you know.
Well, you know what? You rail against beta males, Rory. I'm showing you the quintessential alpha male here.
No, but listen. Hold on. Rob, you wanted to respond, dude.
It doesn't matter what I had to say. Greg's got the answer to everything.
No,
so
Rob, respond. Come on, Rob.
Oh, yes, I do.
This is the Greg show.
You are right there.
Rob.
I won't argue with that. You are right on that, Rob. You are right. You're absolutely right. I agree with you.
My point is just this. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that CCP is good. If you want to do that, then we need to jump into SVB. We just gave them billions of dollars to bail out Chinese companies.
Yep.
We need to jump in there. We need to start looking at other things that the Chinese control.
We can talk about the bans, but do you think we should ban TikTok? How about just the fundamental?
I do believe we need to.
All right, then what the hell are you talking about?
Huh?
Then what are you talking about?
I never said we shouldn't ban TikTok.
Huh?
I just said that if you're going to ban TikTok, then you have to ban everything else. We have to start.
Well, I asked, should we ban TikTok? That's all I want to know.
You have to look at other influence that China has. It is so important
in our lives. Should we ban TikTok?
Yes, I just said yes. We need to ban TikTok, but we should also take that one step further and look at where China is controlling our lives in the NBA, in Major League Baseball, in Nike, and SVB, and all these places that China has infiltrated. But yes, we start with banning TikTok. But yes, we have to cut off all the other 8 tentacles.
But you do understand that when you say nothing about banning TikTok, but your lead-in is if we ban this, your lead-in. If we ban TikTok, we have to ban everything else. That
because
gives
you
the
jumped
inference
into
or
the
suggests
conversation
that you're kind of a TikTok sympathizer. You do
No,
understand
I'm not.
that.
You jumped into that and cut me off before I ever had a chance to finish, and then started
you
arguing a
spoke 5
point that I
times and
wasn't
you didn't
even
say
making.
we need to ban TikTok. That's why I had to ask you straight up.
And I said, yes, we should ban TikTok.
I don't know if you're that
I have no
adamant, you should
problem
lead with that.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. We should. I think we should get all of China's influence out of our country.
It should sound something like this. We need to ban TikTok, but oh, by the way, we should ban a lot of other things too. That's a better lead-in.
Rory, what's the controversy over the digital blackface? Why is the left going berserk over it? Have you heard?
Because it's offensive and racist.
Digital blackface?
Yes.
That's their new obsession. Yeah, that's their new obsession. It's a new thing they're fixating on. It's very interesting.
What is it? White people that are they digitalize it? What's the whole deal on it?
I mean, I have to read more into it. I was reading about it a little bit on the internet this past weekend, but I didn't get enough information.
Yeah, I was just curious about it. I just saw it flash by. Tucker was talking about it tonight.
No, but I want to go into Philadelphia. How's the water over there? Is everything going okay?
I'm glad you asked me that. It's turned into a national story, and it's really unbelievable what's transpiring here in Philadelphia. Now, it all started two days ago, just north of where I live. In fact, I was there yesterday. There was a chemical spill into the Delaware River, which affects all our drinking water here in Philadelphia. And I was up there yesterday. I went by, I saw all the booms that were set up. It's in a creek, like it's called Mill Creek, which leads into the Delaware. The boom set up. I saw a couple giant tanker trucks, and then I went for my walk for 45 minutes. I came back, and it was all gone. This is yesterday afternoon. I don't know if these guys, it was Sunday overtime, and they all went home. But, I mean, it's been a national story. Anyway, Philadelphia kept putting out these alerts, like Amber Alerts I've been getting, about don't drink the water. You can drink the water. Don't drink it. You can. Now, the latest one Philadelphia's put out is the water is good until 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, and they're going to test it again. So there's been a massive run on getting bottled water. And I mean a massive run. My wife had me go out. I mean, my district is a couple miles north of here, but I ended up going about 20 miles just to get some bottled water. So I bought about 5 cases of it because we don't know when we're going to have water back or what they think is safe. But it is just amazing how the city of Philadelphia, it's like anything. They botch, it's Democrat run, of course. But this water thing, I've never heard this in my whole life, getting all these alerts on my phone, when to drink it, when not to drink it, when to drink it. So one wonders when it's going to be over.
It's insanity.
Is this something that they can boil the water? Like I grew up in the Midwest. And
no, they can't. You can't with this. It's it's latex. Okay. It's some kind of a chemical where you're not able to. It's a good question. You're not able to boil it out of it. I mean, I got concerned about can you take a shower or whatever, and they're saying that's okay. But you can't boil it out of it. Whatever this chemical is, and the thing is, they're not talking about is it killing all the wildlife and the fish? They haven't even got to that point yet.
Oh, Matthew, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking digital blackface. Okay. I read all about this weekend.
It's
I thought you were referring to something else. It basically entails anybody that uses a black meme.
No, any white.
To like in reaction to a post or anything
it has to be a white person. It's only white people.
Right, like if a white person uses a black emoji or a black meme in response to something, that's considered digital blackface, according to a new article from CNN. So now they're giving their supporters more and more bullshit that they're going to take seriously and they're going to shame Republicans for, and then they're going to start shaming everyone for. This is a new thing in the cancel culture movement. This is
what's the progressive template?
I mean, this is how petty it's getting. This is where we're at, guys. Over a fucking meme, over a fucking GIF. If you use the wrong GIF of Michael Jordan crying, you know that famous Michael Jordan crying GIF, you'll be called you'll be guilty of committing a digital blackface or whatever.
But you know, black people that use white faces, there's nothing wrong with that. Of course.
Right. It's a double standard. You already knew the double standard.
Right. But you know what? It's the template. Blank is never about blank. It's about fundamental change. This is not about race relations and peaceful coexistence. This is about fundamental change. More in the way of enforcing the narrative that black people are kept down, that you got to pay them reparations, redistribution of wealth, take from here and give to these social programs. And it is the soft bigotry of low expectation that George W. Bush coined way back when. And it's absolutely true. It is the deepest, vilest form of racism, which is why I say Democrat Party is the party of modern slavery, and Washington, D.C. is their plantation. America has never been more racist, has never had more slaves in this country, and they're enslaving people to their radical left ideology.
Well, Justin
in a
Trudeau
lot of
had
ways,
the blackface.
Huh? What?
Justin Trudeau. Remember he had the blackface and the Virginia governor, whatever? Remember
Yeah,
they had the blackface?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, this only encourages people to do it more. That people will rebel and you know, test the waters on this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what these people that are putting their own set of rules in place, saying you can't do this digital blackface, want. They want people to try to test them. They want people. Yeah, because then they can shame the people that fucking they say are crossing the line. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And create the George Soros chaos, the anger, the rioting, the protests.
Dude, we're fucked. We are fucked. This is the worst divisive tactic. Comedians that aren't even political are starting to speak up about this shit. They're like, their routines are being taken away, and their certain lines they can't, be themselves. I mean, this is hitting every single industry, and it doesn't even have to be somebody in a certain political party. I mean, this is crazy.
No, it sucks.
It fucking sucks. I mean, we've come to such a time. I feel like it's more than a movie than it ever has been ever. I mean, I used to think life was like a movie, but now it's definitely a movie. I mean, it's just like, holy shit, man.
It's a horror movie, Rory. It's a horror movie, a B-rated horror movie.
It's destabilization. It's definitely destabilization. No doubt about that.
I mean, digital blackface. Did we ever think in 2023, when we're dealing with a war, a bank collapse, and all this other shit, that we'd be talking about how digital blackface is becoming problematic and that anybody...
Rory,
we talk about priorities that are totally backwards, and wow, man. Wow. What?
Really? This is the least of our worries, Rory. We're cutting 13-year-old boys' dicks off and giving double mastectomies to young girls. So this is the easy stuff. This is the benign stuff.
They just released the weapons the Nashville shooter was using. God damn. Had some serious firepower.
That person was packing, I heard.
Wow. And I mean, like, a lot of really nice. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Inside job. Inside job. Put on your tinfoil hat, guys.
I'll show you the gun.
U.S. government set this up. CIA operation.
Hey, does it look like one of these, Rory?
CIA operation.
Because if the tranny comes to my house, they're going to get this.
CIA operation.
Ideal for home defense, Greg.
Rob, your thoughts on everything?
Oh, I'm just laughing at this. Is exactly what the devil wants. And seriously,
yes, he does.
Just
He's the father of lies.
Yeah, exactly. It's just to get let's get you fighting about this stuff over here, so I can do this stuff over here.
Yeah.
So politicians wants. It's what Saul Alinsky said it. That's why I've said for the last several weeks. I mean, most of this stuff I think is intentional. It's intentional with the bring on the collapse of society, the economy, whatever it is. Insert now and here, but it's exactly what the devil wants.
Yeah. Rules for radicals. Saul Alinsky. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know what's going on here. Tony Rodriguez, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Tony Rodriguez.
Good to you.
What's up, buddy? What's going on? What's on your mind?
Well, kind of like what you guys are talking about. It's ridiculous, but I don't think we've hit rock bottom yet as a nation. I think things are going to get a little worse. Before they get a little better.
I hear you. I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, I think they'll get a lot worse.
Yeah. Much worse. Go ahead, Matthew.
And if we don't elect the right people,
Jack Posey just put something out. He said what happened in Nashville wasn't just a crime. This was an act of terrorism. Do you agree?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Definitely
100%.
terrorism.
Absolutely.
Against Christians. Against Christians?
100%. Hate crime against.
You think Rosie O'Donnell will admit that? She says Christians are worse terrorism than Al-Qaeda. You think she'll call this transgender attack and murder? Do you think she'll call that terrorism?
No, I think she's too busy stuffing her face. Tony Rodriguez eating carpet. She loves carpet. Rosie, big stinky Rosie. But no, Tony, I wanted you to let you finish your thoughts. Go ahead.
I think it's to a point that we need to ensure somehow that the right people get elected to office, because we can't continue this spiral that we've gone through. I mean, it's to the point that people are just going to give up and say, well, this is the way it's going to be, and that's it. So we need people like you guys out there raising your voice, making sure that your message is heard, so that people pay attention to what's happening and not just listen to the crap that's spread on social media. Like the main thing, that's just crap, right? That's just absolute crap. But it catches on, right? People listen to it. Oh, it's kind of like what I talked about 3 or 4 weeks ago on the show. All of a sudden, the Addams family, it was the first interracial marriage, right? None of us thought that's what the show was about when we were kids watching it, right? We didn't think about that. We just thought it was a funny show. Right. We're giving definitions to think that really aren't that important.
No, it's true. It's true. Guys, I want to bring something up. I'm starting to really see a star in the making. I'm starting to see a guy that can really go places. And somebody I've never really heard of before until the other day. But man, is he making moves. The governor of Idaho, Brad Little, signed 2 legislations recently, and I think they're fantastic. The first one is legalizing the execution by firing squad. I think every state should bring that back. Number 2, and he did this all in the same week, let me remind you, he signed a bill banning boys from girls' restrooms in schools. This guy, we're hearing about this guy more. I mean, I've heard about him just a little bit, but I think we're going to start hearing about him more and more. And I think this guy has a ton of potential. Brad Little. But wow, good stuff. What do we think?
Well, we haven't had the firing squad, Rory, since, was it Gary Gilmore, the last person that was executed by firing squad?
Sounds about right.
That's 40 years. Yeah, this is, can it be a deterrent? Who knows?
Yeah, the fact that this guy signs 2, I mean, those are 2 big bills in pretty much the same week. I mean, that's big headlines right there.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, the firing squad. Can anybody tell? I mean, I'll have to look at the data. I don't think anybody knows this off the top of their head or by heart. Is the firing squad? I know it's in a few states. Do you guys know what states in particular?
There was another state.
I know there's like 2. I think there's 2 or 3 states it's in.
Is Texas still doing it?
It's not. There's like an option for it, I think.
Texas?
Yeah, I think Well, let me look. Keep going, Merk. Merk? I'll let you respond. Go ahead.
I thought Tennessee maybe or Texas.
Can the inmate actually?
What are your thoughts on bringing that back? Think that's a good?
100%. I love it. I mean, it's quick. It's swift. 4 states: Mississippi, Oklahoma, Utah, and South Carolina.
So now 5 will be Idaho. So now, now Idaho will be 5.
Well, I mean, it's very cheap.
Okay, now listen to this. Since 1976, there have been only 3 executions carried out by firing squad.
I mean, are we supposed to be sympathetic toward these people? They're going to kill them. Frankly, it's very swift and it's very cheap. It's inexpensive. So, I mean, you get like 6 guys with blanks and 1 guy with a bullet, so you never know who got the shot. Look, you get the death penalty, you get the death penalty. I mean, I'm not for torturing somebody, but look, you hang them by their neck, you shoot them with a bullet, you put them in an electric chair, you juice up their arms. I find that the juicing up the arm thing has too many problems.
It doesn't always work. A lot of times they can miss the vein. A lot of times they can't, find the. I mean, there's so many variables.
Yeah.
Does the inmate have a choice of their death?
I think they do. I think they do.
Some states they do, yeah.
Okay.
And Greg, is that what you were getting at, just with the vein and how they can?
Yeah. Yeah, there's always something going on. Something weird happens, and this has got this whole sophisticated. It's a very complicated system of all these injections, and what's inhumane, and you got to put them to sleep. You know what? Just wheel them out there to the field, and 7 or 8 guys, however many there are, they all shoot at you. And one guy has a bullet, and that's it.
They should have never.
I don't know what the big discussion is. This is a terrible thing because frankly, is it worse? Is it better than electrocuting somebody to death? Listen, it's the death penalty. There's no nice way of giving somebody the death penalty, but it's not for nice people. So who gives a rat's ass? You die. That's the ultimate goal. By hanging, by a bullet, by electrocution, by intravenous, whatever. You got to die.
They should have never got rid of the electric chair. The electric chair was the best form of the death penalty, in my opinion. It's the best way to go. You commit a heinous crime, a horrific crime, you deserve to go in the worst way possible.
They malfunction too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's quick. It's very quick.
When I lived down in
guy's head caught on fire.
I lived down in Texas.
You're talking about Bundy? Bundy got his head. Yeah, that was very interesting. Rob, go ahead.
I was just saying, when I lived down in Texas, I went to school at Sam Houston State, which is in Huntsville. And so the path that I drove to go onto campus, I passed right by the prison where the death chamber was. So whenever there was an execution, there was protests and everything all through the day. And there was one guy that was in there that eventually admitted to killing and raping 3 women. He was only convicted of 1 because in Texas, what they do if you're convicted or if you're charged with multiple crimes, they only charge you or try you with 1, so that what's the point? If you already get death, it's got 1 count versus 3 counts. So anyway, he was going through all of this, and they played on TV that night when I got home. They were talking about how he was on death row for so long and blah blah blah, and he was on there just this sob story about this has been torture, and I can't imagine this. I feel so bad. This has been so torture and so inhumane. I'm like, well, what about the 3 women that you raped and killed? That I know there's people that, that it does happen that, people are wrongfully convicted, but this guy admitted to it. Like, you raped and tortured and killed 3 women, and I'm supposed to feel bad for you because you're sitting on death row knowing you're about to die? Like, I'm missing that. Or like Greg said, you're doing this to not nice people. I'm sorry. I'm okay with your head catching on fire and being put to death in a very slow, inhumane way. That doesn't bother me. But my only hang up is you better damn well make sure that every possible scenario has been played out so that you don't wrongfully convict somebody. But that said, they didn't take into account the victim's rights or what the victim was feeling and stuff. I don't feel bad for you.
How much of this is to blame on PC culture? We're allowing these people the convenient way to die, which is lethal injection. They don't suffer any pain; they just go to sleep. So, your thoughts, Greg?
Like you said, I don't feel sorry for these people. They don't feel sorry. I don't really find it that inhumane. I don't find the electric chair. You don't get to that point. You're not human yourself. So I don't find any of these forms, whether it's getting hanging by a rope. I don't find any of them inhumane. You know what I would find inhumane? Burning them. I think that, Although I wouldn't legally sleep if they burned Charles Manson, but that would be inhumane. None of these other things there's nothing inhumane. These people are not human anyway. They shouldn't be extended that liberty, but they're not, it's not inhumane.
Hey, Rory, would you be a big guillotine fan? Bring back the guillotine?
Yeah. Why not?
That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
In the public square.
In the public square.
Cable. Hey, that's showtime every Saturday night.
Let's do it, baby. Tony, go ahead. I don't know what happened.
Tony, we can't hear you.
Tony, we can't hear you. Reconnect and we'll come right back to you. Rob, you want to say something?
Oh no, I was just laughing at that. In the public square, I'd be right there. I think I'd actually, and here's the thing is we were talking about I heard on TV today they were talking about there's no fear, like nobody fears the law anymore. But if you did that, you brought back hangings or brought back the guillotine on the public square, people you'd think twice about it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Look at these other countries where they have all the
Saudi Arabia.
Arabia. And I just saw a video today. I'm going to give you an example. Somebody dropped a briefcase of money in Japan in the train station. And usually in America, people would probably steal it. But instead, all the citizens went up and helped the person pick up the money and put it back in the briefcase. Wow. I mean, and I also think there's something else that factors into that. I think they're taught manners in these countries, but I also think they know the repercussions if they were to steal, because you're not supposed to steal in countries like Japan. So they're taught to just do the right thing. I think. Does that make
more of a sense of community? More of a sense of community among the Japanese.
Right, and you brought up a good point, Matthew, about Saudi Arabia, about China, about some of these other places. If you do some of that shit, they will give you the death penalty.
Yeah, I mean, some crazy shit, man. I've seen them with construction equipment hang the people, hang a few people out, like the big construction things that go all the way up, and just hang them from it. I mean, shit, that sends a really chilling signal to the population.
No, I know. I mean, how would you go if you were in charge, Greg? What would you do?
Shit, that's the city of Philadelphia. Hold on.
What would you do, Greg?
In terms of what?
Just what we were talking about.
I was preoccupied with 45 communist goals for America. Dealing with criminals?
No, just this entire thing. I mean,
I like what they're doing. I think the death penalty ought to be in every state. I don't think it should be banned in any state if you're talking about death penalty. I do believe that it's a deterrent, but it's not just for deterrence. It's about, look, crime it's twofold. The justice system is twofold. It's not only to deter future crimes, it is also, oh, by the way, to punish the current crime. So it has not only a social impact, but it also has an individual. So if you want to deter, these things do deter. But you know what? Even if you throw, because there are people say it doesn't deter. Okay, whatever, it doesn't deter. But it is an eye for an eye. It does address the crime that this person did. It is the only sensible. I mean, our justice system, our system of punishment is supposed to fit the crime. What kind of punishment fits the crime of somebody who does these atrocities, these murders? Well, putting them to death. It's just logic.
Right. And isn't, when we were just talking about like stealing in other countries, like I can't believe how they'll give death for that. But in America, you get a little slap on the wrist a lot of times.
How about spitting? How about spitting in Singapore? How about spitting on the sidewalk in Singapore?
They'll cane your ass if you spit on the sidewalk or even throw a cigarette butt out in Singapore. They'll cane
you're not allowed to chew gum. That city is pristine. If you've ever been there, I have. It's pristine.
But think about it.
And an American found out that you want to spray paint on the walls. It's a very painful consequence.
Greg, you just brought up a perfect point. If we put these sort of rules in place in America, do you realize that we would have less garbage on the ground? We would have less crime. If people knew that spitting on the ground, putting their cigarette butt out in a way, if they knew these certain things, they wouldn't do it. I mean, some would, but most.
Rory, we can't stop scum of the earth drug addicts from defecating on the sidewalk in front of everybody.
Because we're allowing them to do it. If you put laws in place. Yeah. If you fucking
it is a law. You're not allowed to defecate in public. You're not allowed to urinate in public.
In San Francisco, you can.
It's legal.
You're not getting arrested for
it. You're not going to get arrested for it.
Well, right. I don't think it's legal.
I don't know. I thought that
like masturbating on an airplane. It's frowned upon.
Hey, Pee Wee Herman got arrested for doing it in the Peep Show or wherever he did it.
Rory, you talking about Paul Rubens? That guy, that weird. That guy's a fucking weirdo, dude. Pee Wee Herman, that fucking guy.
Rory, a perfect example of what you're talking about is last week in Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia gave $9.5 million to 347 people that were, the summer of 2020 George Floyd rioting because the police used too much tear gas. I mean, these people are criminals. They burned police cars, smashed windows, but the city of Philadelphia gave them $9.5 million. That's how crazy shit is here.
Yeah. And you think we're going to stop people from throwing a cigarette butt on the ground? Yeah, we're way past that.
Hey guys, I got something really funny and really sad at the same time. A new report out today. A New York man who pretends to be a baby girl is accused of repeatedly breaking into a daycare center and stealing diapers and formula. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office announced that they arrested 65-year-old Daniel Sealer on February 18th, soon after he allegedly broke into Aspire Learning and Child Care Center in Clarkson. Wow. Okay. The director of the center told officials that the incidents began when an employee found $120 and a note allegedly from Sealer asking if the daycare had any adult-sized diapers and if they would play along with him, according to the report. Daycare staff found $200 and a similar note the following week. After the first incident, the director had a surveillance camera installed and notified law enforcement. Where
the hell did you find that shit?
I would play with him. I would pretend I'm the abusive shaken baby syndrome father that beat his kid to death. And I would play with it. I'll play your daddy. I'll beat him until he's bleeding from the face. I'm going to be abusive dad, freak.
What the fuck did I just read? What the fuck?
I don't know what you just did. Is that a THC-related article?
That's real. It's all over the New York Post.
Oh, there you go.
New York Post. Can you guys believe this is what we're going
to? There's nothing anymore that surprised me, Rory. You cannot discern between what could be fact. You know, there's that game they play. Is it a real story or is it a fake story?
Your average Biden voter. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now flip a coin. You don't know what's a real story and what's a completely ridiculous sensationalized story. You cannot tell the difference because it may as well. But that's the social degradation that is America today.
Sad, man.
The moral degradation.
What does Rob think about the baby?
I'm kind of thinking, if he's got a couple $100, why don't he just go buy the adult diapers off of Amazon or go buy them from AOC? I'm sure she knows somebody that's got them.
Right? Because he wants to get noticed. He wants his pathetic fantasy.
Yeah,
true. It's absolutely true.
But no, I agree with you, Greg. That's the moral degradation. But that's where you get off when you're talking about these things that are, morality is relative and stupid shit like that. It's those, and then the laws are on the books. But if you're not going to enforce them, then what good does it do?
Yeah.
Speaking of the trans, while we're on all this weird shit, the Missouri Attorney General, who's been doing a great job, Andrew Bailey, created a hotline to report abuse cases of children who are subjected to transgender medical interventions. So the hotline titled Transgender Center Concerns Form tells citizens to complete this form, submit a complaint or... God, hold on a second. The hotline... Wow. It's been a long day, guys. The hotline titled Transgender Center Concerns Form tells citizens to complete this form to submit a complaint or concern about gender transition intervention they have experienced or observed in Missouri. The Attorney General, I like this. I think this is great. We need more hotlines like this. We need as much help as we can get. Anybody have any thoughts on this?
Well, some of the people like your Idaho governor you're talking about and other GOP governors, some are stepping up to the plate, but you need a lot more to really illuminate this madness, this transgender stuff. I was just reading, remember Leah Thomas, the Penn swimmer that won that title?
Yeah.
You can't have shit like this infecting every area of society. And like you said, we've been talking about where it's getting accepted and or normalized. You can't have a breakdown of society like that because then things all go to hell at that point.
I just heard today that ESPN, I don't know what the award is going to be, but they're going to honor her with some type of woman athlete award.
Yeah.
Probably an ESPY award. That's what they gave Bruce Jenner when he became Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane. I mean, guys, we're living in a time like never before.
Hey, you want to? I'm gonna read something from 1963, Congressman Herlong. It's the 45 Communist Goals in America, and this is like just gonna read a few of them, and they've all exactly been true, just like these. Discredit the family as an institution, encourage promiscuity and easy divorce, and emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents and parental guidance. Attribute prejudices, mental blocks, and retarding of children to supportive influence of parents. I mean, I'm not to go over. Create the impression that violence and insurrection, i.e., Black Lives Matter, Antifa, are legitimate aspects of the American tradition that students and special interest groups should rise up and use united force to solve economic, political, and social problems. All 45 of these, one by one, you can go down the list. You can look it up, 1963, 45 Communist Goals, Google it. Every single one of these, 1960, as you can see, has come to fruition today. This is a Marxist movement that has planted its seeds late in the 1930s with the cultural Marxist revolution, and we're seeing it all come to fruition right now.
I also want to read this report. I want to transition topics a little bit. I want to make sure we get everything in. Anybody have any thoughts on what we just talked about? No thoughts? A new report came out today, a study. Up to 80% of jobs could be disrupted by AI. Researchers at market-leading AI firm OpenAI and at the University of Pennsylvania are predicting that up to 80% of jobs could be impacted by AI technologies, which are rapidly increasing in sophistication. Fields involving numerical skills are particularly at risk of disruption. Accountants, mathematicians, and financial quantitative analysis all received scores of 100 out of 100 for their exposure to AI. So did authors and journalists. According to the study, marketing strategists and financial managers are facing reduced risk along with skilled trades like electricians and other jobs, including barbers.
This is a huge study in every business school. And as a matter of fact, they talk about how to utilize these programs almost every single way. They're talking about Schwab, Ameritrade. Every one of these finance companies has a artificial intelligence that you just plug in your metrics and maybe your investment goals and your horizon, your time horizon, and it will spit out a perfectly balanced portfolio for you. And what it will do is it will take 10 analysts and bring it down to maybe 2 analysts. So that's where you're looking at that 80%. And I don't care if you're talking about the world of finance, whether you're talking about medicine, research. We talked about the other day how artificial intelligence came up with a cure for a particular kind of cancer that is now going to go into the testing phase. It's an extraordinary development with AI. You know, how it's going to play out in society, I don't know, because there are obviously good aspects to artificial intelligence and very bad aspects. But I can tell you, you compound that with a culture that is already unwilling to work, and it doesn't bode well for a American exceptionalism and a progressing, growing economy.
And I will tell you this, Greg, usually when things can be used for good purposes, they end up turning bad and being abused and getting in the wrong hands. And then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. I mean, I'm less.
They use them for nefarious purposes. If they can, they will.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I'm probably less concerned about that than I am the fact that it's just going to continue to encourage more indigence in our society. And there are good things to it, but I'll tell you, artificial intelligence is not going to do away from good hard work labor. A robot's not going to come over and fix your toilet. That's going to require plumbers. A robot's not going to come over and put in your electrical system in your house. That requires an electrician. All these jobs that are
suck your dick,
nobody wants to do them.
It'll suck your dick.
I don't know how well.
What the hell are you watching, Rory?
I don't know. All these sex robots that are being advertised online.
And you know what? It doesn't surprise me because Rory, right now,
we're all over the place. When you scroll through newsfeed and you watch all these different videos online, I mean, they make these sex robots look so fucking real, and what they're able to do, it's insane. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I mean, you know, kids right now, they say 18 to 25-year-olds or 30-year-olds, they're not dating. They're just not interested. But you know what? It doesn't mean they don't have a sex drive. Are they turning to these kind of things? These crazy imaginations in their heart and in their mind? I mean, we're really becoming a very perverse society that has completely abandoned all the traditional values of, you know what, meeting the right gal, being married for life, raising a family under good Christian values. That's all dinosaur talk. That's all antiquated. And this is the new age. This is the new generation. This is modern day America, and it's not a good one.
And you're right, Greg. As convenient as technology has become, it's also created a lot of problems from a social standpoint and from a psychological standpoint. I mean, so many variables factor into it.
Yeah.
So just like anything, it has its pros and cons. But you know what's tough, and I think everybody really has to think about this before they answer it. Has technology brought more pros, or has it brought more cons? Because
I just read a study about.
Wait. Okay. The easy answer is it's more pros. I mean, I think most people would answer that way because of convenience and accessibility. But look at all the harm and damage it's done to society. That's unrepairable.
Well, I would pierce the veil of the question because there are certain indications or characteristics of intelligent people, deep thinking people, and one of them, and you can read it. They just published it out. It's a very interesting article. One of them is they are less. They use technology and gadgets less. They're more free thinkers. They do more reading and understanding. It is one sign of intelligent people. So what that suggests to me, and actually the data is actually supporting this, how we're getting dumber in America. IQs are lowering. That we are decreasing the level of intelligence in America. The more we rely on gadgets and artificial intelligence, the dumber we get as a society. Because one of the signs is people that they seek knowledge about everything. They don't want the easy way. They're constantly reading. They want to know about every subject. That's a sign of an intelligent person. And they're less likely to use gadgets and technology. So I look at that aspect, and I would have to say that overall, from a social impact, I would have to say that all this technology and AI has more cons than pros.
Yeah. Yeah, and even the people that you just described that know how to get away from the technology and basically read books and do other alternative things, they're still surrounded by the technology because they're around their friends, they're around their family. So they're still, smothered in it, I guess if you want to say, if that makes sense. So it still is indoctrinating and ruining everyone to a certain degree, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I agree.
Because even if somebody's not using it themselves, they're around somebody that is. And I think that's creating certain toxic environments.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Matthew.
We have to be careful of where technology is leading us. I mean, of course, we use it and it's been very helpful. But I get concerned when, let's say, governments or governmental entities start really relying on AI technology for policy, for a lot of things, and I think we're kind of going on that way. I mean, I don't know if Greg was talking about certainly business functions in Wall Street. They put all these things in the computer and it comes out, and they get these great plans. But we have to keep an eye on it, like some kind of ethics. I don't want to use the word control, but to make sure technology doesn't outpace our humanity and start to destroying us as a civilization. So we have to keep an eye on it, and we have to keep, decent people. We don't want any rogue governments getting AI and using it, for nefarious purposes.
And not enough people are paying attention to the dangers of 5G. 5G is what people really have to worry about and keep a close look.
Absolutely. They're rolling it out, Rory, everywhere. And I have a friend that's very involved in the whole 5G thing. and she just can't believe the way she tries to get dialogue with the local congressmen and senators, and a lot of times they have no idea about it. But 5G is being implemented everywhere, and at lightning speed. Even when we had all the COVID restrictions, the 5G building and all that still went forward at a record pace. So 5G is a big thing. Now, whether 5G is bad or good, you got to look at the literature, whether it's can adversely affect your health or what. There's a lot of stuff out there that we still don't know about 5G.
I feel like it's affecting my health. I feel like it's affecting a lot of people's health. I mean,
it's certainly a national security thing. When you look at it, there's a story in the Bible, the Valley of Megiddo, or the end times, the Battle of Armageddon, whatever you want to call it. It talks about how the armies are blinded. And I really believe that refers to, if you were to attack the satellite system in combat, we would be blinded. We would not be able to see the battlefield. The battlefield is technology driven. The whole foundation of everything from our weapon systems to being able to strike targets relies almost 100% on our ability to access satellite imagery and satellite technology and GPS. So you take that out and we are literally blind to the battlefield. You take it out, we're not able to communicate, across the board. If just an electrical or an EMP type of attack can really render us completely helpless on any battlefield and be totally susceptible to any outside attack.
Can I comment on that, Rory? Yeah. Elon Musk Starlink, the Starlink thing he's been giving it to the Ukrainian military for free, or the government, and apparently the Ukrainian military is using it against Russian targets. And I don't know if Elon's going to try to withdraw it, or maybe the agreement's etched in stone. But I don't know if you've been hearing about that Elon has been giving certain nations whatever this. I think it's called Starlink, but it's satellite capabilities. The Ukrainians are using it for military applications.
Well, it's fascinating in what he's been able to create there. I give him props. I mean, the guy just has one miraculous invention after the other. You look at PayPal, you look at Starlink, you look at the Boring Company, you look at SpaceX, Tesla. I mean, they don't make any. I mean, he's an anomaly. I mean, I whether people agree with him or not, he's a special human being. I mean, he is one of a kind. He will go down when all's said and done as Einstein 2.0. He's smarter than Einstein in certain ways. He's a Nikola Tesla kind of guy. I mean, this guy, his brain operates on a different frequency. It's like it has all these different plugins. It's amazing. It's like robotic. It's like unbelievable.
It's phenomenal.
It's so profound. It is.
He apparently came out yesterday. You remember he purchased Twitter for $44 billion last October.
Now it says it's $20 billion. Yeah.
Now it's 20. However, he came out an hour ago. I was looking at his tweets. He says by the time he gets done with Twitter, it'll be worth $250 billion. Now we might laugh at that right now, but like you said, this guy's a fucking genius.
I believe
what he's doing. Right?
I believe him. I mean, I believe him 100%. I mean, we can, people can delegitimize him and count him out. But time and time again, he's proven people wrong. And he's overcome the impossible. I mean, the things that he can achieve are just, I don't know how the fuck the guy does it. Guy must be an alien.
Yeah, he sees things most.
He wants to live like an alien on Mars.
I understand, he got some subsidies for Tesla and, other things, and he got government, contracts, stuff like that. But we can't dismiss the fact that he created a massive empire, definitely extremely self-made, brought up, born and raised, in a poor family. I mean, you talk about the American dream, though. Comes here, really loves the country, capitalizes, has all these people that are mesmerized by him, and he's such an inspiration. Yeah,
look at the contribution, Rory, just in the last few months with Twitter files, exposing deep state federal agency corruption with the COVID narrative, election interference, and now hopefully he'll be releasing the Fauci files. We would have never found out any of that shit if he did not buy Twitter.
No, I think just restoring free speech on Twitter, what he did there is one of the greatest achievements in recent memory for this country. I mean, that
didn't really change.
People don't understand how big that is. I mean, because Twitter is the most powerful social media platform in the sense of where people go to get their information. And there was so much fake shit and so many things that were hidden from everyone for so long. And now with the transparency, with people being able to see between the lines and the reality and just the.
Well, all it's really doing is making those of us who we all knew it to be true. Now we have the quote unquote smoking
But now
gun.
we can say whatever the fuck we want and not be worried.
Well, right, but what does that do? It's done nothing to change the needle of the dialogue, because the left continues to bash Elon Musk and say it's all untrue. So they've like doubled down. They were caught in their lies, and now they're trying to double down. So my point is, while I'm glad he's doing that and he exposed it, and he actually gave us the proof right now, the smoking gun, I'll tell you that this country is so divided, it's not changing a soul. It's entrenching people on both sides more so. And we're going to continue to have to battle this out on the ground and the grassroots. The Republicans better take a message from what the Democrats did in 2020. If they don't play by the same rules and play the same games, then we're going to lose it again. And we're going to have a reboot of the election of 2020.
Rob, you got any thoughts on this?
No, I was just listening the same way, but just like kind of Greg was saying when I jumped on here, you guys were saying it all starts in the home. So it doesn't matter what, if you're teaching kids good morals, you're teaching good Christian values, and I don't even care if you're a Christian. I mean, just teach them something, teach them manners, teach them, something to live by, something to stand with. Like my granddad he wasn't a Christian until just before he passed away. But Grandpa, I remember him when I was a little kid, that he was like, you know what? I don't care what society says. You listen to the voice inside of you. And now I listen to that because that's the Holy Spirit inside of me. But that wasn't the way Granddad saw it even then. But he wasn't afraid to buck the trend. But he put that into me at a very early age. And that's just something that we just don't do anymore. So it doesn't matter what technology does. And all that, like I said, I kind of came into the middle of that conversation. But
Yeah, but you're right, because families, what they don't do, and whether you're a Christian family or a secular family, what they don't do, and this is they don't discipline their kids. Yeah. Discipline is a sign of love. If you love your child, you're disciplined. If you hate your child, you will not discipline yourself. And I'm not talking about beating your child. I'm talking about disciplining your child out of love. Yeah. It is a sign of love, and your child will respond to that every time. But if the world revolves around your little piglet, then you are destroying that child. The world doesn't revolve around your kid. And if you teach them that the world revolves around them, then they will become the entitled monstrosities that we're seeing today. You have to discipline your children out of love. It is a sign of love. And if you don't, you hate your child.
Yep.
Guys, I want to read something that's pretty disturbing here. This came out today. Vice President Kamala Harris visited Ghana on Monday. And she gave them $139 million in assistance for the coming fiscal year, plus a share of various regional initiatives, including economic support and counterterrorism programs. Why the fuck are we giving money to Ghana? Any idea?
The reason she's doing that is because apparently the CCP has made major overtures to Ghana. So the U.S. is trying to prevent the CCP from getting entrenched in Ghana. I mean, the CCP, as I said, is in a lot of places. And that's why she's down there. And I thought it was more than that, Rory. I thought it was like $800 million. But yeah,
I just read on Breitbart. The amount I just said was from Breitbart. They're accurate.
That is one of the that's one of the things in the 1963 entered in the congressional record, is to pay all these people, to provide foreign assistance to all of these governments. That's part of the Marxist plan. It's funny because another one is getting control of schools, gaining control of student newspapers, and getting control of the media. These are all things that the progressives want to do, and part of that is giving money to these governments. That's It's all rooted in Marxism. And I'll tell you, we have never had such deep-rooted Marxism in our highest level of government in the history of this country than we have now.
Your thoughts, Rob?
No, I agree with you, and it's just something that they've been doing. They've been digging at it and digging at it and digging at it forever. I mean, we say this every time I've been on. We're always saying the same thing. It's this is all intentional. This goes back to Saul Alinsky. This goes back to Karl Marx. This goes back. I mean, you can go all the way back and see. Right. We're just systematically, and like Greg had said, even back in the '60s, they identified it, and even then they were laughed at it. I mean, I was pretty young, but I still remember them people laughing like, "Oh yeah, just paranoid. They're not trying to do all that." Well, that's exactly what they're doing, and they.
Hey, right. Here's number 24: eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship. And number 26: present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, healthy.
Yep.
Jesus. I want to bring this up. There was but we're going to close out the show here in a second. But there was a new study that came out. Mass immigration accounts for 80% of U.S. population growth. Does that not terrify everybody?
Well, it's really bad. That's why you have the Democrats that have been so proactive in pushing them through there and relaxing regulations. And I think I've said it once. I've said it a million times. Who is the most affected community with that is the minority community. But 80% seems like a huge fucking number, dude.
It's insane. I mean, what do we do about this, Greg?
Well, that's kind of like allowing a mountain, saying, how are we going to get rid of this mountain? 50 years ago it was just a molehill, and it was relatively easy, but now it's a giant mountain. And, ultimately it's going to have to start in the homes. Look, we have a very different culture, very selfish culture. People aren't even getting married, let alone getting married and having birth rates. I think we're only having maybe 1.5 births. It's a very low birth rate of American people. So when you have a birth rate below 1.7, it's historically you have never grown your population organically. And when it hits 1.3, it's statistically impossible. It means you can never reverse it. But we're at the point where historically it's never been reversed. So that's a very dangerous trend because not only are we relying on immigration to do these jobs, but we have allowed this massive illegal immigration, and we've given them access to every single entitlement, every program, every healthcare, every education system known to man here in this country. It simply can't afford it. It will eventually break. You just cannot keep doing this, and it will be the demise of the greatness of America.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I want to say before we go, Greg, did you hear the feds are suing Binance, which is the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange? Do you hear about that?
Yeah.
So what does this mean for crypto? I mean, it's all crumbling. It's all coming crumbling down, it looks like.
Well, Rory, what have I said for the longest time? I said the central banks around the world will never capitulate to cryptocurrencies. There are three aspects of all of this thing, and people kind of conflate them. They jumble them all together. There is a cryptocurrency, the coin. There is the blockchain technology, and there are the crypto exchanges. The crypto exchanges are exposing the own underbelly of their ugliness and their fraud, so that's falling. The crypto coins themselves and the leverage that has been placed in all these banks, we're showing that before. And the central banks are not going to capitulate. They're not going to bend the knee to Bitcoin or any other crypto for that matter. But the blockchain technology is here to stay. That's what the central banks will use in their digital coin. But they will continue to attack all crypto coins, not just Ethereum and Ripple and the others that are clearly, pseudo securities, which is what they're doing. But they'll even go after Bitcoin, even as China has. They banned it in China.
Crazy stuff, guys. Matthew or Rob, you have any thoughts about this?
No, I don't have too many thoughts about that one.
Okay, guys. Any final thoughts before we go? Anything you guys want to mention?
Rory, real quick. The Elon keeps talking about that someone stole the source code of Twitter. Do you know what that is? The source code?
That's a big fucking deal. When did he say that?
He said that the last couple of days, and they're trying to find out who did it. They're trying to find that it was a disgruntled Twitter employee, whatever. But that pretty much can compromise the whole system, right?
Yeah, that's how the entire system operates. That's pretty much the golden ticket. So
that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's the biggest deal. If the source code is stolen, it would make sense why Twitter is still being fucked with, because apparently there's reports that the algorithm is still being skewed in various ways, and certain people still have access that shouldn't have access to it. It's almost like a clearance thing where a lot of these people that get fired in DC still have their clearance. I feel like, like at Twitter, people get fired, but they still have their kind of clearances. Does that make sense, Matthew?
Yeah, it does, Rory. It reeks of government actors. There's still shadow bans and stuff going on. It's every day. So it's a shame. The platform could still be compromised to a certain extent. He's doing his best, but the deep state and whomever's stealing the source code, they know that is.
He has a lot more things coming out this week to fix a lot of things. So he's working his ass off, believe me. I mean,
yeah.
Think about how many Jack Dorsey sympathizers in there who hate Elon Musk, and it's it is extremely challenging for Elon Musk to root them all out. A huge monumental effort that it's going to require, because there are a lot of quote deep staters in there that would love to see this whole thing crash and burn and get rid of Elon.
No more Twitter files.
It's true. It's true.
I'd much rather see it implode.
Yeah, Matthew, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can certainly find the Matthew J Show here at the NextGenUSA.com network and the Matthew J Show on Twitter.
Rob, tell everybody where they can find you.
C-Suite for Christ, Arizona, and coming very soon, the Christian Business Alliance will be launching. I just signed the deal last week that it will be launching within the next 30 days.
Nice, man.
It's all official now.
You're going to be doing your show here again soon, right?
Yes, sir. Going to be doing the show, and that will be a part of that Christian Business Alliance. All about it's really plain and simple, guys. It's just about intentionally doing business with other Christians and to support one another, and just providing a resource and a network for churches, businesses, ministries, nonprofits, all of them to be able to come together and let each other know about one another, and let the public know about one another, and who's going to step up and who's going to be the Chick-fil-A's and the In-N-Outs of the world. And say, you know what, I'm a Christian business.
I like it.
Most of us can't do that.
I like it.
That's a great cause and a great mission, and I wish you the greatest success in that endeavor. 1 Minutes with Merk is back, Merging Culture, Politics, and Faith, tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Time here on the Next Gen USA.
All righty, we will see everybody tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all for tuning in. Another episode of the Next Gen Live. And guys, tomorrow night, another big show. Until then, I'm Rory Sauter. God bless. Much love.